Hi everyone, welcome back to DevOps Doc. Today we are diving into AWS IAM roles. We'll see what are they, how to create one, and how they differ from IAM users. And plus we'll cover why you'd need to assume a role. So yeah, these are the topics for today. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. What is an IAM role? So what exactly is an IAM role? An IAM role in AWS is like a permission set that an AWS resource or entity can temporarily assume. So think of it's like a identity that provides access permission without require a username or password. In AWS IAM user, we need an username or a password, right? But in IAM role that is not required. So I'll give you an analogy, so try to understand what a role is basically. Imagine you went to a park, okay, a water amusement park, and there you wanted to operate a restricted ride, okay. So now, and there is a machine, so that when you enter that, it will require a authentication, okay. So to enter into that particular ride operating, you will need a particular permission. That means a particular, it could be a particular badge, or it could be something else, right? So when you enter that, this machine scans you and it ensures that you have the permissions or not. So there is a guard, and it provides the permission. So while entering restricted area operator, so that guard you will provide you badge, so that you will wear it, and after that you can get into that restricted area, right? Then you can operate that machine or operate that, right? So the similar way IAM role works, and once you are done with that, you can return that badge to that guard, right? So in the similar way, IAM role is a temporary badge that grants specific permission for a limited period of time. So I hope you can understand by this analogy. I don't know like how it makes sense, but yeah, this is how I wanted to make you understand what is an IAM role. So roles are ideal for granting permission to AWS services, applications, or even users from external systems who temporarily need access to particular resources in your account. So it can be like cross account, okay. Suppose in your company, someone other want to perform some action, so you won't give them, or you won't be creating an IAM user, right? So instead of that, you can create an IAM role, you can set a time period, then you can provide the access to them, so they can assume that role and they can perform task. Okay, so yeah, this is what IAM role does. I'll give you a example, like I will be creating one IAM role and will assume that. So how is an IAM role different for an IAM user? So as you can see my screen, you can read it here also. So an IAM user, it could be a person or an application with a long-term identity. It has username and password, long-term access key for the programmatic access, and a permission is directly attached to the IAM user, okay. But in IAM role, it's a temporary identity that anyone can assume it, and it doesn't have, as I said, it doesn't have any username or password. It is assumed programmatically using AWS STS. So STS stands for Security Token Service. So which is which is the Amazon's a service which works internally when you assume that role, and it has permissions policy that determine what it can do. Okay, so I hope you can understand what is the difference between the IAM user and IAM role. So now, why we need to assume a role? Okay, so why there is a need to assume a role, as we have a IAM user, but why we need to assume it? I'll explain you. So there would be like cross account access. Let's say you have two AWS accounts, right? And one is for your development and one is for your production. So you can use roles to securely access resources in the production account without sharing the credential. As I mentioned previously, you don't need to create one IAM user for a temporary users. Instead of that, you can create one IAM role, and you can let them to assume it. Okay, and the second one is least privilege access. Instead of assigning permanent permission to a user, you can grant temporary access to a specific task. So this is also there. Third one is AWS service access. So service access like EC2 or Lambda can assume roles to access other AWS resources such as S3 buckets or DynamoDB. Let's say your application is running on a server and that application wants to communicate to S3 bucket. So you can create one role and you can attach that particular role to the EC2 server. Then the EC2 server will talk to S3 using the IAM roles. And the last one, the fourth one is federated access. So let's say suppose access means external identities like your Active Directory in your company or your Google Workspace can assume the roles to access your AWS resources and services. So that is called federated access. Okay, so now we'll see how to create one IAM role and how we can assume it. Okay, I'll show you how to assume it via your AWS console and via your AWS CLI also. Okay, so I'll show you in both. Yeah, so here I came to AWS console. Here you can type IAM, then after that just come to the roles part. So now I'll create one role. Just click on create role, and this is for the service access and this is for account access. So we need to assume a role, so we can select this one, or if you want to use the federated user you can choose this one, but this is for the service. Like if you want your EC2 service wants access for S3 or your Lambda wants access for S3, then here you can choose AWS service. Then inside the service you need to choose which service you wanted. Okay, but we will focus on assuming role for an user, so we'll choose this one. So as I said, it can be cross account, right? From another account, if you want to access someone from another account to your account, you can choose another account, then give the account ID and you can do that. Okay, but as I don't have any another AWS account, so I'll just choose this account. Okay, now for now just ignore these two parts, just click on next. Now here I'll just give easy to access. I'll just give EC2 full access, then click on next, give the role name, here just keep these things default, then create role. This is the role we just have created. Now here just go to trust relationship. Now here just see the ARN. So this ARN shows everything in this account, like every user in this account can assume that role. If you want to specify, like as I said, if one user from another account wants to assume that role, then you have to specify that user's ARN over here, then only that user can assume this role. Okay, so as of now we have the user in the same account, so we are not gonna change that. Okay, so here to assume it, I'll just create one user. So give the user a name, EC2 user1. I'll just provide AWS Management Console. I'll just choose a custom password. Next, okay, I want create a new password, so I'll just disable this one. Okay, I'll just attach one policy, let's say S3 full access only. Next, then I'll just create that user. Now I'll just copy this one, sign in URL. I'll go to a different browser. Now here I'll give the username. What was the username? EC2 user 1. Password is, I'll give that password. Sign in. So for this user we had given S3 access, right? So if I go to, let's say, EC2, I shouldn't have the access for EC2 service. As you can see, it's all saying error. Okay, if I go to S3, I should have the access for it. Yeah, I can create bucket in S3. If you want to create a bucket, I just give a random name. I'll just create it. Okay, sorry, we can't include any special character. As you can see, as we have the S3 access for the to the user, so we are able to create one S3 bucket, right? So now we'll see how to assume that role. So here, if you go to here, now here you can see there is a switch role option. So just click on that, give your account ID name, sorry, ID. I'll just go here and I'll copy the account ID from here. And what was our role name? EC2 access. If you want to see, you can just go here and go to your IAM roles, EC2 access. So here is the ARN, right? So here you can see what is your name of the role. I'll just copy this one and paste it here. Here you can choose any color for the display. Here this is optional, so you can give it. I'll just switch the role. Okay, it is saying check your information or contact administrator. Okay, so what I'll do is, now I'll go here. As I told you, like by default it gives you all the users to the access for the role. Like if your ARN says root, then all the users from the same account, they can assume this role. Okay, but for some reason it's not working. So what I'll do is, I'll just go to that user and copy the ARN, this ARN. Now go to, now roles, EC2 access, trust relationship. Now I'll just edit the trust policy, then I'll replace this one, the ARN. So if you don't know what is ARN, like what are these things, I will create one short video for this one. Just make sure you check the description, it will be there. Okay, I will just update the policy. Now if I go here and switch the role, it should work. See, now it is working. Now you see, like if you remember, for our role permission we have only EC2 full access. For our role the permission is only EC2 full access, but for the user we had permission for the S3 bucket. So this is the reason when we assume that role in buckets, it's saying you don't have the permission or to list the bucket. But if we go to EC2, we should have the permission as we assumed that role. See, now we can list our EC2 instances. We can see all the things are there. We can create one instance though, like we have the access. So now if you want to go back to the user, you just click here, then switch back. Now if you go to instance, here it is saying, see, if you go to instance you will see it erroring. Yeah, so in this way you can assume a role and you can do some certain task, whatever like whatever policy is attached to that particular role, perform the task using assuming that role. So now I'll show you how to assume a role via CLI. So here I have one EC2 instance running, and I have installed that AWS CLI here. So now I'll go to configure that access key and secret access key. So I'll just type AWS configure. Now I have one access key and secret access key for one another user. The reason I'm using another user to show you how the trust relationship works in IAM role, and according to that we'll just modify it. Default region name, I'll just keep it default. Yeah, so the user which I have connected through CLI is this one, which I had created it earlier. But we'll see, assuming this one, if it works. It shouldn't work because in the roles, in the trust relationship, we have that ARN for the EC2 user 1, but we wanted to assume that role using this user, so it shouldn't work. Okay, so we'll just see it is working or not. So to assume a role through CLI, you just need to type AWS STS assume -role. I'll just go to the next line, then dash dash. You should give the role ARN. Go here, go to EC2 access, copy the role ARN, keep that in double inverted comma. Now give space, then just give a role session name. I'll just copy this one. You can give any name. Okay, it gave me some error. Maybe there is a typo. Let me type it again. I think for this one I'm not able to access it. I'll just remove that one, and here it's extra space here. I'll just clear that as well. Now I'll try the same command. Okay, the reason it's saying access denied because uh, we haven't added this user to the trust relationship in the IAM role, right? So we'll go to IAM role, then I'll go to the user. Now this one was the user. I'll just copy the ARN of this user, go to roles, then EC2 access, which is our role, trust relationship, edit the trust policy. Then here instead of this user's ARN, I'll just provide that user's ARN which I just copied, and then update policy. Now if I go here and I try to hit the same command, okay, it's again showing the error. Okay, so basically the user I have chosen, that is this user, not this one, I am just using this user. So I'll just reconfigure it again. I'll just go to users, SDKs, and just create okay, what I'll do is, instead of creating, I'll just copy ARN of this user and I'll update it here. It should work. Now if I hit the same command, there is one extra space here. Sorry. Now see, we got the temporary credential, which is the access key and the secret access key. Okay, these and the session token as well. So we are able to assume that role using AWS CLI. Okay, so basically here I was using different user, but I was trying to access a different user, then that's why it was the conflict. Okay, so this is the reason I was not able to access, because we haven't copied that particular ARN to that role, so that's why it was giving that access denied error. Once we copied that ARN into our roles trust, then we are able to access, we are able to assume that role. Okay, and now you can use that access key and secret access key, like the temporary one, to perform this certain task using switching the role, and you can switch back according to your need. Okay, so to sum it up, uh, IAM roles are incredibly flexible and a secure way to manage your temporary access in AWS, whether you are granting permission for a service or enabling cross account access. So they are different from IAM users. Just to remember, mastering IAM roles helps you secure your AWS environment while maintaining the operational agility. Okay, so this is for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment and subscribe to DevOps Doc. See you in the next video. Bye bye.